The Georgia Court of Appeals has just agreed to hear President Trump's interlocutory appeal on the disqualification of Fulton County D.A. Fani Willis for her illegal financial stake in this criminal prosecution. She hired her dumb, unqualified boyfriend, Nathan Wade, paid him $250 an hour. He billed $700,000, including for his time meeting with the Biden White House and the Biden White House counsel before Big Fani brought her big, dumb RICO indictment against President Trump. President Trump moved to disqualify her. There was that circus of a hearing where, Fani's talking about how she's a Gray Goose girl and she just has cash laying around the house because her Black Panther father taught her to keep cash laying around the house. And so she went Dutch with her big dumb boyfriend. So let me tell you how this is an extraordinary appeal. You're getting interlocutory appeal, meaning you're getting an appeal during the middle of the criminal prosecution at the trial court because this Kemp judge down in Georgia, he's a little wimp, and he said, oh, well, yeah, of course, there's a conflict of interest here, or at least an appearance of a conflict of interest. But Fani, you get to decide. You can stay on the case if you want, or you can fire your dumb, unqualified boyfriend. That's not how the law works. The whole office must get disqualified. The entire Fulton County DA's office must get disqualified, and then the attorney general, along with others, need to reassign it. They can reassign it to another DA in Georgia who's not corrupt, who's not conflicted like Big Fani and her dumb boyfriend were. And what I imagine is going to happen is this is going to get reassigned to another DA in Georgia, and this case is going to get dismissed because any DA who looks at this with clear eyes is going to see that this is a bogus case against President Trump. It's part of the Democrats' lawfare and election interference. And so it's yet another case that's crumbling for this Democrat lawfare. This Biden Democrat lawfare and election interference is crumbling before their eyes.
Let's go. I want to go to yesterday because I thought immediately this case should be dismissed. It should be a mistrial called. But the prosecution did what they wanted to do, which is smear President Trump. This has, as you keep saying, we're 4 weeks into this thing now, or 4.5 weeks in. They still have not laid out the crime because there is no crime, and there's not going to be some technical decision by the jury on hearing a crime. This is all a narrative that President Trump's a bad guy, President Trump's an evil guy. And what they tried to do is even that he did this, whatever happened with Stormy Daniels was done without consent. I mean, they went all in, and the judge had some performative, oh, you can't say that, and he would say it, and then next thing you know, she's saying it again. You wrote the 5 pillars, and we want to put that up if Denver has that. You wrote the 5 pillars of the case against Trump in this situation. Walk me through that.
Yeah, so the 5 pillars, you start off with Matthew Colangelo. Matthew Colangelo was a senior Biden Justice Department political appointee and a former DNC, Democrat National Committee political consultant who got deployed to Soros-funded Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's office, who campaigned on getting Trump. They resurrected this zombie case against Trump. We still don't know their legal theory. 4 weeks into the trial, this case was passed over by the prior Manhattan DA, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney, the Federal Election Commission, and Bragg himself until this Biden operative got deployed to Bragg's office to bring this lawfare. Matthew Colangelo is a total political hack. He worked for Obama and Eric Holder and Tom Perez in the Justice Department and the Civil Rights Division. He followed Tom Perez when he became Obama's DNC chairman. He was in the Obama White House as a labor relations guy. He went to the Democrat New York Attorney General's office to run the lawfare against Trump for the 4 years of his presidency. He was on the parachute team to the Biden Justice Department. This just proves that Biden is driving this lawfare with Matthew Colangelo. You also, with this New York case, you have Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is this convicted perjurer and disbarred attorney who was bitter that President Trump didn't make this clown the White House counsel. And now he's profiting off of this case on TikTok. He's making these videos on TikTok and profiting off of it. He's one of the star witnesses, along with porn star Stormy Daniels, who has changed her story. She wrote a letter in 2018 saying none of this happened. Now she's changing her story. Oh, by the way, she has a pinned tweet on X, on Twitter, where she's promoting her porn sites. Well, you know, she's profiting off this trial too, just in other ways, right? And then you have this Biden donor judge, Juan Merchan, who donated to Biden and another anti-Trump cause in 2020, whose adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is profiting off of her father's unprecedented trial of Trump. She's raising millions of dollars as a leading Democrat fundraiser for Biden, Harris, Adam Schiff, many other Democrats. Even a former Clinton judge went on CNN, on Caitlin Collins' show on April 5th, and said that this judge has to recuse under New York statute because of this daughter's fundraising off this trial. This judge responded to that by expanding this unconstitutional gag order against President Trump and threatening to throw him in jail if he mentions Michael Cohen or Stormy Daniels or Lauren Merchan, or even number 5, even if President Trump merely mentions that this Manhattan jury pool voted 87% for Joe Biden. Somehow that is contempt under this vague and overbroad gag order, this sword of Damocles that they have over Trump's head. Trump can't talk about the fact that Merchan rigged the jury selection process with Bragg and Colangelo to weed out. It's already 87% for Biden, probably more than that, right? And so they're weeding out of this potential jury pool people who follow Trump on social media, but they didn't weed out people who follow Biden. This is a completely rigged process. Those are the 5 pillars. This is a corrupt prosecution, and these bad actors must face severe political, legal, and financial consequences come January 20th, 2025, when the Trump 47 Justice Department is in place and they open a criminal probe on this obvious criminal conspiracy.
Since you don't have interlocutory appeals, this is all going to come to an appeal later, but they don't care. All they want to do is get Trump now, is get a conviction now, so you can tell the world, oh, he's a convicted felon on 34 of these trumped up counts. Correct? This thing is so appealable on all the mistakes and all the rigging they've done today.
Yeah, and the issue is the gag order, the unconstitutional gag order that Juan Merchan and Bragg and Colangelo put on Trump. Look, the gag order should be on the witnesses. It should be on Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, because gag orders are supposed to protect a criminal defendant. It's a limited time, place, and manner restriction on free speech rights to protect the criminal defendant, to make sure that he's getting a fair, public, and speedy trial under the First, Sixth, and 14th Amendments to the Constitution. This judge has illegally turned that on its head. It's a criminal conspiracy against rights. They've turned that on its head to gag President Trump and threaten to throw him in jail for merely responding to Stormy Daniels' attacks, to merely responding to Michael Cohen's attacks, for merely mentioning that the jury pool is 87%, voted 87% for Biden, or Judge Merchan and Colangelo and Bragg rigged the jury selection process. They want to throw Trump in jail for mentioning that Colangelo got deployed from the Biden Justice Department to bring these bogus charges against Trump. This is lawfare and election interference.
Mike Davis, now Washington Post, New York Times is all their lead story about this appeal. This hit like a bomb to this crowd, because I don't think they were expecting this, right? They were expecting the appeal to come afterwards. They didn't think it would be what you call interlocutory. It would go now. But this gets to my bigger issue. This is Trump's defense team driving this. There's another aspect of this. You just walked through 5 pillars of this conspiracy in New York City alone. You then have Florida, where a federal judge is basically saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, she's going to put Jack Smith on trial in June of this evidentiary hearing, because she wants to get to the bottom of she's asked politely, she's asked nicely, they've blown her off. Now she's going to put them in the docket and say, okay, they're actually going to have hearings of motions to dismiss, which a lot of times it is do with briefings. She's going to have a couple of hearings on that. Then she's going to end with the big kahuna in late June of evidence. That's there, which you've laid out from the afternoon in August. We're almost 2 years into this thing, when you came on here and kind of walked through exactly what the conspiracy was. Now we're going to see that, but that's also driven by a federal judge. That's not driven by the House. You're also now in Fani Willis, you got the appeals court stepping into the action because they've seen enough and they want to have it argued to them. You've had the Supreme Court say, we've had enough. We've had enough of the nonsense. I mean, 9-0 smash mouth humiliation in Colorado, which you were the one that fought. They all mocked us that we're never going to get to immunity hearing. This is ridiculous. Maybe they have a 2-line brief. That's going to be, that's historic. You've got the Fisher case about even what the charges are. You have a dozen major, massive things about the rule of law and the way this country is structured by legally. And the House is completely quiet. Judiciary, weaponization of government. They're like church mice. And now, after we put the bayonet to the back of a couple of people, oh, by the way, that's right. I think we have a 300-page report. Oh, did the trial start? Did we miss putting it out by the trial? How did that happen? Well, here it is. It's interim, stamp interim on it. It's just interim. Then you've got letters flying around, at least the 5 people doing a great work. But this is insane. This is a massive criminal conspiracy against Donald J. Trump because they understand when Trump gets back to the White House, it's game over. And now the House is like church mice, and every couple of days they're putting out another report, and the stuff they're putting out is great. Why is it not consolidated, sir, under one adjudication, whether it's weaponization of government or judiciary, or even bring Comer back from the bullpen? Comer, who knows why Hunter Biden hadn't been subpoenaed to testify? Who knows why there hasn't been criminal referrals? Who knows why there's silence from the Kentucky colonel? Mike Davis, your thoughts?
You're exactly right. Man, Steve, you sound like a lawyer. We're going to have Trump make you his lawyer in front of the Supreme Court for these cases. That was pretty impressive. But I would say this, House Oversight Chairman James Comer is doing fantastic work with his oversight. He's uncovered $20 million plus from foreign entities going into, it seems like, every Biden family member's bank account. Of course, except the 6-year-old granddaughter who the Biden trash wouldn't accept until they got publicly humiliated. But look, what needs to happen is this House Judiciary Committee, this weaponization committee needs to step up. I was highly critical of it at the beginning of this Congress because they weren't doing anything. They weren't structurally staffed up properly. And then when they issued a few letters and subpoenas, I started praising Jim Jordan. I've kept my mouth shut. Look, we are 4 weeks into a criminal prosecution in New York City where you have a corrupt judge whose daughter is making millions off of this case, raising millions off of this case, with a Soros-funded DA who campaigned on getting Trump, with a Biden and DNC operative, Matthew Colangelo, as the brains behind this operation, because we all know that Bragg's a moron, right? Where the hell is the House Weaponization Committee? Where is the Judiciary Committee? Why aren't they issuing subpoena after subpoena after subpoena, getting documents, having people come in for staff depositions, having public hearings? The reason these Democrats, these Biden Democrats, and President Biden himself, his White House counsel, including Jonathan Sue, who orchestrated the Mar-a-Lago raid with the archives and the Justice Department, Jay Bratt at the Justice Department, Jack Smith at the Justice Department, Merrick Garland at the Justice Department, Lisa Monaco at the Justice Department, this magistrate judge, Bruce Reinhart, down in Florida, these other judges who are part of this conspiracy, this lawfare and election interference, this conspiracy to violate rights under 18 USC 241 and many other federal crimes. Why aren't we not on offense? What the hell are we waiting for? We are 22 months after this Mar-a-Lago raid. We are 4 weeks into this criminal trial. This judge, these prosecutors want to put President Trump in prison. They've made that very clear with their illegal, unconstitutional gag orders. They are threatening to put him in prison. The mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, is bragging that he has the Rikers Island ready to go for President Trump. These House Republicans, Jim Jordan, this weaponization committee, his Judiciary Committee, they need to get their heads out of their asses and start moving now.